The Story of My Life by Sri Vedatri Maharishi, Chapter 13, Tragedy and Bereavement. Something unforgettable happened when I was 22. I had a friend who was very close to me. His name was Narayanasamy. He lived in the house opposite to mine. He was a student of PS High School, studying 10th standard. We used to go to the seashore with a few student friends in the evenings. From Mandaveli, where we lived, the distance was only half a mile. In summer, we were in the habit of bathing in the sea every day and returning home before 7 o'clock. On the day, the other friends were sitting on the sand while we two, Narayanasamy and I, stepped into the waters of the Bay of Bengal. 15 minutes went by. "That will do. Come along, Narayana," I called him. The waves were particularly high that day. They lifted us to the height of about 6 feet and then set us down again. The sensation was pleasant, as if we were on a swing devised for us by nature. When I called my friend, there was a big wave. He saw it. "This is the last wave. We shall enjoy it," he said, "and then go home." That giant wave lifted us to a very great height indeed. When it withdrew, we found ourselves a few yards further into the sea. We couldn't fix our feet. We tried floating, swimming. No good. Somehow I managed to draw nearer to the shore by about 10 feet. Then my feet just touched the bed. I found the current still strong like a whirlpool of sorts. I strained every nerve and quickly reached the shore. I noticed Narayanasamy struggling still in the water. I told my friends to fetch someone to help my friend, pointing out that he was in danger. I made a sort of long rope tying together our clothes that were left on the shore and stepped onto the sea again. I waded in as far as I could manage with steadiness and flung the rope to him. He stretched his hands in an effort to catch it. The rope was short by some 10 feet. I went a few feet further into the water. Hard luck. The same whirlpool was now after me. To extricate myself, I swam and swam. One precious minute, and then I touched the bed again. I turned round to see Narayanan. Only the fingers of one of his hands were visible for a few moments above the surface. Then those two disappeared. My grief was inconsolable. The closest among my friends, dear to me as life itself, with whom I spent all my free time, was no more. The sea had swallowed him. Why should I alone live? Why not I too share the watery grave with him? "Alas, Narayana, you have forsaken me," I cried. The urge was irresistible to plunge forever into the depths of the sea. Then my mother seemed to stand before me, and my father. I could only wail and weep. I turned around. There were 2 fishermen running up with my friends. I pointed out to them the spot where my friend was seen last. The fishermen dived and swam and searched and surfaced and dived and searched again. My friend could nowhere be found. 1 whole hour we spent like that. It was 7:30 when we started back home. On the way, we reported the matter to the police. We then handed over Narayanan's clothes to his house and sobbed out what had happened to him. His sister's scream of terror on grasping the tragedy still resound in my ears. Her lamentations and her grief were such that the scene haunts me even today when I think of this tragedy. Her brother went for a bath at the sea at 5. At 7:30, she heard that he was dead. What indeed could be a sister's shock and reaction to such an end? The body was recovered the next day near the harbor. I can never get over this pain of parting to the last. The loss of my friend seared my heart whenever the thought recurs. I try to console myself as best as I can under a heavy load of grief. He is there, safe and secure, beyond the trials and tribulations of life, caught in the grip. Should I really mourn his passing? I too shall get such deliverance one day. I started thinking like this and returned slowly to my daily round of tasks and labors. The period after I had completed 22 was a turning point in my life in more ways than one. There was a bolt from the blue one day. I got a message from home saying that my father was ill with fever and that his condition was critical. I planned to apply for leave the next day and go to Guduvanjeri to do my duty, attending on my father in all the ways I could. But early in the next morning, news reached me that he had passed away. I could not bear the shock. I burst out crying at the very spot where I stood at the time I heard the news. There was an elderly gentleman living in the house opposite. He felt the utmost sympathy for me and took me to his house. Both he and his wife did their best to console me. Looking at him, I wept again, saying, "Oh, I have lost my father. I have lost my father." "My dear Vedatri," he said, "don't take this to heart so much. I shall myself be your father and do all that should be done. We have 2 sons, you know. You will be our 3rd son." I was comforted a little by their kind assurances. I went to my native village and performed the obisque. That was my first big bereavement. I returned to Mylapore and settled in my former routine again. The story of my life by Sri Vedatri Maharishi will continue. Visit simplifiedkundaliniyoga.com. Be blessed by the divine.